Welcome to the Maria Liberati Show, where food meets art, travel, and life. This is Maria Liberati. What does food mean to you? Tell me in a recorded soundbite of 60 seconds or less, or a social media post of 50 words or less. Hashtag it the Maria Liberati Show and post on social media. If your soundbite or quotes are selected to be part of an upcoming segment, I'll send an autographed copy of my book, The Basic Art of Italian Cooking, to you as a special thanks. Want to also remind you, don't forget to watch my hashtag Friday favorite cooking segments, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Facebook Live. That's every Friday. We will be also giving away some delicious prizes that I know you're going to love, along with my book. So don't forget to watch Facebook Live. That's my hashtag Friday favorites, where I do recipes from my podcast segments. Happy National Pasta Month. And I forgot to mention also, in this continuing segments that we're doing in the month of October, October is, just to mention again, Italian Heritage and Italian Culture Month, but it also happens to be National Pasta Month, and there's also World Pasta Day and National Pasta Day. Pasta is a dish that nearly everyone loves because of its versatility. There's so many different shapes, such as rotini, rigatoni, ziti, tortellini, spaghetti, lasagna, and many more. The great thing about pasta, well, besides the taste, is that it can be served as a main dish or even as a side dish. Pasta brings families together because it can be a shared meal. Sitting at the dinner table on Sunday, passing around a large dish of spaghetti and meatballs brings a smile to everyone's face. How about how excited you and your children get when you see some cheesy mac and cheese? Not only does pasta fill you up, it also has lots of nutrients to keep you healthy and energized, which is why marathon runners and athletes eat lots of it before a big run or game. With all of this being said, let's celebrate this extremely nutritious and tasty food throughout the month of October. Create your very own pasta shape. Make some homemade pasta from a basic pasta dough recipe and get creative. I do have a lot of different pasta recipes on my blog at marialiberati.com. Just search for pasta, or in my books from the Basic Art of Italian Cooking book series, The Basic Art of Italian Cooking, Holidays and Special Occasions, 2nd edition, The Basic Art of Italian Cooking, and The Basic Art of Italian Cooking Da Vinci Style. And on my blog, you can find lots of interesting different pastas. There's a pasta from Montepulciano, Tuscany. It's called Pici pasta, which is P-I-C-I, and you can find that and do an interesting pasta dish, authentic Tuscan pasta dish that way as well. Host a big pasta dinner. If you need help finding a recipe, just go to marialiberati.com and search out pasta, and you'll find loads of pasta recipes. Don't forget to post all your pasta abilities all this month, the month of October, on social media. Hashtag the Maria Liberati Show, and you could win a copy of my book, The Basic Art of Italian Cooking. We'll be giving away a copy of my book. In my quest to live the simple but delicious life, I love to stay home and savor all the flavors in my kitchen when it's possible, and take a mini day or a staycation. No stress, no bags to pack or planes to catch or dinner reservations to make. For me, a staycation treat is to spend a day enjoying simple pleasures. I don't always have the time for cooking a special dish for a family meal, but today's meal was a fresh tagliatelle pasta. And again, in honor of World Pasta Day and National Pasta Day and National Pasta Month, I wanted to share the recipe with you for fresh tagliatelle pasta. It's just 3 eggs and 1.5 cups of flour. Place the flour on a wooden board, make a well in the center, and add the eggs in one at a time. Knead the dough with the eggs for approximately 15 minutes till a smooth dough is formed. Divide the dough into pieces, then roll out into long pieces of dough and cut into tagliatelle pasta, or use a pasta machine to cut. You're going to let the tagliatelle dry for a few hours before cooking, and they're ready for a great pasta dish. There's nothing like fresh pasta. Lorraine Ranalli, who is an author, broadcaster, media personality, consultant, and she wrote this great book called Gravy Wars, which I know everybody's going to be really into if you haven't read it yet. And it has an interesting subtitle, so I'm going to let you tell us about that, Lorraine. Thanks for being here today.
Maria, thank you so much. It's an honor to be a part of your show. And, I'm very impressed with all that you have done with dating. And I have to ask, and I don't want to jump over you. I'll tell you all about
Yes,
Gravy Wars.
yes.
But I was looking at your website and I said to myself, how does an Italian woman who cooks stay so darn thin? How did you manage to be a model and a professional chef? Just amazes
Well,
me.
everybody asks me that. And the thing that I just, I really learned, I think, to eat healthier living in Italy because, you can actually eat like the really authentic artisan Italian foods. And a lot of times you actually lose weight while you're there. And it's all about eating in moderation, because here everybody's into these gigantic portions and they're not into that there in Italy. It's just eating in moderation and
Yeah.
also exercise, even if it's just walking. So in Italy, like there's a lot of walking, you're always walking to the stores, to get your pasta and your cheese and your breads and every place, even if you walk in the city of Rome, it's up and down hills and things like that. So walking out to your like little coffee bars and all, you're always in movement, always exercising. So I kind of took all that from living in Italy and I know, I have to exercise and but I try to keep moving all the time, try to do things like instead of elevators, escalators, take steps,
Mhm.
walk to think, walk as much as I can. And again, it's just eating in moderation, really, and not eating. But I get that question all the time, people, and also eating healthy. So, like in Italy, at least in Abruzzo, they're really into eating lots of vegetables and lots of fruits and things. So, most of my meals consist more of fruits and vegetables, like salads and my smaller portion will be like pasta and pasta or rice or things like that. So I don't eat meat. I really stay away from meat. That's actually helped me to stay in shape.
Because I don't know moderation. I may have gone to school with her, but
It's
it's
difficult. it,
yeah.
it is difficult to eat in moderation. I will tell you, when you're in Italy near, a great pizza or a gelato, oh my goodness. So, it is difficult to do the moderation thing, but when I was living there, it's like, okay, well, I can have this every day. So, I don't have to really worry that it's not going to be there. So, I kind of worked with it and I knew, hey, if I have it in moderation, I could still stay in shape.
It
So,
really is a mindset, and it's amazing. I have another friend who frequents Italy. She grew up there, and she
uh-huh.
said that the pasta there is not as, if you will, fattening or caloric because they don't have all the additives that we have here. And I've heard, and maybe you can speak to this, that in order to manufacturers there have to add certain ingredients to get it into the USA. We have too much crap in our stuff, I
You're
think.
absolutely right. And the weird thing about, I don't know if it's weird or strange, is that they do not, there's some kind of a law or something that says they don't have to list whatever those other ingredients you're speaking about.
Hmm.
There's not, like, the law states that there are some things that they do not have to put on the package. So you will not see that on the package. And you're absolutely right. The other reason that it's actually easier to stay in shape when you're there and eat their food is, you just said it, we have too much crap in our food and that
Yeah.
actually makes your metabolism sluggish.
Hmm.
So I am really careful about processed stuff that I eat here.
Yes, yes.
Even like pasta and all, I try to make my own. It's not always possible because it takes a long time. So I don't always have that time, but I try to make most of my own foods, and I take stuff with me whenever I go anywhere, even if it's just for the day. I take a lot of stuff with me. I unfortunately I don't like to eat out a lot because, I found that to be you are like right on the money when you're talking about the trash in the food. What that does, as I said, it slows down the metabolism. So in Italy, you're eating more genuine foods and it's not
Mhm.
doing that. So your metabolism is able to work faster and more efficiently. And that's really what the trick is to keeping your metabolism working also, is not junking it up with all the stuff. And yeah, a lot of stuff you don't even know about here, because you're right, the stuff that they bring over here from Italy, the manufacturers have to put ingredients in that we don't even know about. But you're absolutely right.
It's
Yes.
a shame. We're all walking around with a lot of sludge in our bodies. That's what it
That
seems like.
definitely, that is absolutely right. We definitely are. So
Because we grew up around food, and like you say, food is everything, and it is an art form. And so when I was putting together Gravy Wars, I really intended to have strictly a cookbook, because at the time, I'm not a professionally trained chef. I
right.
describe myself as the cook next door.
Uh-huh.
And I wanted to just capture all the family recipes. Nothing was written down. I don't have to tell you or your audience that. We know how
Yes.
that goes, right?
Yes.
And I did start out, I started the whole process, oh boy, 2000, the end of 2005, so
Mm.
15 years ago. It took me a year just to get recipes from my family. I'm just like, write it down. Okay, call me up and tell me what you're doing. I'll write it down. And then, a handful of this, a pinch of that, and everything else. So I put together this recipe book, and then I was writing some stories that went along with the recipes, because I thought some of the all the little anecdotes, the things that we did, and oh well, this recipe came from Aunt Mary and she did this and that, blah blah blah, and it all started when there was so many stories around it. So I put together what was a very small book, and
Mhm.
then a friend of mine who is a publisher read it, and he said, kind of basically threw this manuscript back at me and said, you can do so much better. And I was like, I poured my heart into that took me over a year. And he said, yeah, but you have so many, we knew each other from
Right.
childhood. And he said, you have so many good stories. Tell me the stories. And I'm like, you know what? You're right. The heck with the recipes. What I have in my family recipes, they're not that, unique or
Uh,
different or anything really, really fabulous. You're not getting this any secret sauce. I was putting it all out there.
uh-huh.
So I started to tell the story. So my book is more of a story about the culture, hence the subtitle, South Philly Foods, Feuds, and Attitudes, with a Y, because we all have this attitude like our food is the best and everything we do is the best. And I got to tell you, Maria, I this book was finally released in 2009, and there's no shelf life on it. That's what I love about it. It won't go bad
Yes.
like some of the pasta in your cupboard, but it will I was so humbled when I put it out. I was introduced to so many wonderful people like yourself, and chefs from all over, of different persuasions, different backgrounds, different niches of the food they made, and pastry chefs. Oh my gosh. And I realized, holy cow, all those years growing up, I thought that my family was, just everything. We had it going on. I realized, I look at my family and I'm like, all right, guys, we are totally Metagon. We don't know what we're doing in the kitchen. Let's get schooled now. I kid. I think I have a bunch of good cooks in my family, and I'm
Uh-huh.
not too bad, but my palate's a little bit limited. And I'll tell you, it was just a lot of fun, just the stories. And one thing that I love about putting together the stories is that people that I run into, they can relate to it. And they don't have to be Italian, and they don't have to be from South Philly to say, oh my gosh, that family interaction, that was us growing up. I love that's the best compliment I could get.
Yes.
You nailed it. That was our experience. And because there is so much about food and culture that brings us together. And you probably heard the saying that music is the universal language. I
Yes.
also think there's something about food that's a universal language, and it doesn't matter what ethnic food it is. There is a universality. Well, look, we all have to eat, right? God made us attracted to food because it would keep us sustained and living, right? So we all have an attraction to it. We all appreciate it. And we all have definite tastes, likes and dislikes. And I think that kind of connects us as human beings. You know, when we talk about getting together and communing, and you know, we what do? We break bread, right?
Mhm.
And that really brings people together. So I like that as a universal language, if you will, more than
Yes.
anything. And you've done a lot of traveling. You probably see that more than anybody.
Yes, 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 I have, but I did want to comment too. I always like people are always mentioning your book to me and
Really?
we're talking about yeah, I'd like because I do like a lot of personal appearances at wine and food events and they're always mentioning your book, especially because there's the big thing, especially in different
Oh,
pockets, well, in pockets of the USA about the gravy and sauce thing. So controversy, shall we say. So
right.
I always hear about your book. So you're absolutely right. There is no shelf life. People are still, are still talking about it, and I think it's so entertaining. And yes, I love the way that you mix recipes with stories because that's actually what I did when I first came up with my book series because I was starting to put recipes together. It was sort of the same thing. And then it's like, well, you think because you grow up doing a lot of that stuff, because Italian families, we cook together, and
Hmm.
you think it's just everybody does that. It's not a big deal. But I think the things that really make the recipe special, just like you said, are the stories that go with it. So I kind of did the same thing with my book series. I just have the stories from living in Italy that went with each of
Hmm.
my stories. It's the same thing. I think Italian food, just like you're saying, it connects you. It really does. It connects you to so many things. And there's such a connection there. And the stories are just as important as the recipes. You kind of experience both together. You're experiencing the recipe with the story also. So, but
Well,
yeah,
let me tell you the whole war thing, you know, and there is that whole gravy sauce thing you brought up, and it's just so funny. If you go on any social media and you pose that question, you will. It's a very fun. Some people get pretty adamant and pretty
uh-huh,
hostile, but for the most part, it's a nice little debate that we all have going back
uh-huh.
and forth. But that's not the heart of Gravy Wars, my book. I address it right in the beginning,
Yes,
because you know we always hear, is it sauce, is it gravy?
uh-huh,
And the real war, though, is who makes it best. You
uh,
know, even within the family. Do you have that? And is it like that in
yes,
Italy, right? Well, you know, like especially the matriarch of the family. I mean,
yes,
she has to get all the kudos, even if her cooking is subpar, you know, because
yes,
she's the
yes,
matriarch. And so my mother will always say, "Oh, well, that's really good,
uh-huh,
but no, your scallopini is wonderful, but you don't use
yes.
mushrooms. You know, I put mushrooms in mine. Okay, whatever, ma. You know."
Yes, that's so funny. They are, Italians are competitive with food. I know, especially like on holidays, when you get together and if there's a large family group and who's making what, and everybody usually has something they have to, some kind of either critique, a lot of times they have to add in, or whoever it is has to have the best sauce, or you just have to tell them they have the best sauce.
Hmm.
Get it over with. But yes, it's really funny, and that's why I love the title of your book too. It's fun, and it lends that feeling to the whole Italian cooking experience. But you're absolutely right about that. So do you have a favorite recipe in your book that you could share with us?
Oh, wow. You know, one of my favorite things to eat, and it is one of the simplest things, but I love it, is spaghetti aglio or
Mm,
aglio olio. I'm going to
oh,
say
oh, oh, yes,
I'm going to say it correctly. Um,
yes,
tell me, you know, you said you don't go to restaurants a lot, but I noticed, and maybe some of the listeners can reply, you know, or put a
yes.
little note in the chat box there. But I notice more and more, even the American bistros, they have taken over the past couple of years this nice shine to, you know, it can be any kind of vegetable in an aioli sauce. They don't
Uh,
say olio, two words. It's aioli. It's like, what is
aioli,
a
yes.
word? Aioli? That's not a real word, is it?
Right. No,
Not an
it's
American
not.
thing? Okay.
It's
All right.
not. No, they just kind of blended that olio, which is garlic, and olio together, and they call it aioli.
Yeah,
Yes.
aioli sauce, AIOLIO or something. I'm like, no,
Yes,
that's not what.
yes.
So yeah, it's just if we could a little section of Lorraine's pet peeves. That's not real.
Now,
Okay, and
I
I see
don't
that
think
it's an
it's
American
real.
menu.
Yeah, I don't think it's real, but sometimes things are used so much that it becomes a recognized expression. So I'm not sure. For me, I would think that it probably was kind of blended together, so they call it aioli, but I can't be 100% sure, but I call it olio e olio, just like you said. And
Yeah,
you're right, it's like the most simplest dish.
and I could eat it 7 days a week.
Yes.
Lunch and dinner. I just love it with a lot of pecorino romano cheese.
Oh, yeah. I was just going to say, you just took the words out of my mouth. I was just going to say, with the cheese on top, oh my gosh, that's so, so good. And my grandparents had this tradition that they took even when they moved to South Philly. So, midnight on New Year's Eve, they
Hmm.
would make spaghetti aglio e olio. I can still see them at the table with my great aunt and uncle that lived next door to them. So they would all four of them be making up a pot of pasta. So they would do the spaghetti aglio olio. And I found out in Italy that's like a tradition in their town. I don't know if it's supposed to bring you good luck or something,
How
but
about that on New Year's Eve? Is that
yes,
right?
at the stroke of 12. So they would get it ready, so that at 12 o'clock they would be already, they would be eating this. But yes, that was a tradition. But yes, oh, that's such a delicious dish. And I think the simplest ones, the simplest ones are really the best ones
Oh,
anyway.
absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
that's great. Thanks,
Well, let
thanks.
me ask you this, New
Yes.
Year's, isn't New Year's a big pork day? Isn't that supposed to be good luck? I mean, a lot of our
Well,
traditions are born of our
okay, so
superstitions.
in Italy they eat well, lentil soup is a
Mhm.
big thing because that brings you good luck too, but they do have something called cutechino, which is a
Yeah.
part of the pig
Hmm.
with lentil soup. If you
Okay.
want the pork, now me, I always tell them no, I want it without. And they usually what they do is anyway, Italy is a great place to be, like if you're not really eat into eating meat or into eating meat, either way, because they don't make the stuff like when they do spaghetti and meatballs, it's not spaghetti and meatballs together. It's
Hmm.
spaghetti and then meatballs on the side. So same thing when they do their lentil soup, it's lentil soup and then this cutechino or type of pork or ham, they cook that separately. And then they'll serve the ham with the lentil soup on top of it. But
Right.
you're
Okay.
absolutely right. And lentils are supposed to bring you good luck. Actually, they're supposed to bring you fortune and rich, wealth and stuff like that. So you eat that on New Year's Day usually.
Okay. Okay.
Usually
Well, then
that's
there's my problem. I haven't had lentils in years. My mother still
Oh,
makes
there
them.
you go. So you have to start eating lentils. And then usually you have, because Italians, right? We make tons of food, a lot more than is necessary. So you're usually having lentil soup for like almost the week after New Year's Day.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But it's so good. And actually, as you know, it's even better as a leftover.
Hmm.
So, but yes, that's a big thing. That's usually for New Year's Day. For New Year's Eve, it's this spaghetti aglio olio. But
Okay.
again, that's in the town, like in Abruzzo, where my grandparents were from, in a few of the towns around where they're from in Abruzzo. So,
What town is that?
well, my grandfather was from a town called Tagliacozzo,
Okay.
which is in the mountains of Abruzzo.
All right.
Abruzzo is near the sea, and Abruzzo you have the mountains or you have the sea. The sea,
Mhm.
there's a town called Pescata that's pretty popular.
All right.
So, but we're more from the mountains. That's where they had the winery, and I began studying
Okay.
there. So, and in
My
that little town.
grandfather came from Teramo.
Oh, Teramo. Yes,
Mm.
I was there many times. Uh-huh. Yes, yes, Tetamo. Uh-huh. Wow. So from Tetamo is in Abruzzo also, right?
Right. Hmm.
Yes, because I know there's like a border. Yeah, that's in Abruzzo as well. Yes. So I've been there. I've been there driving through to, I'm not sure if we stopped there going to Rome a few times, but yes, I've been to Tetamo. So oh, that's great. So anyway, well, So I know you shared your recipe with us. So do you have any Italian superstition or tradition that you find most interesting?
Well, it's funny. It's almost habit, and I really like to say, I still hold fast to my Catholic faith, and so
Yes.
to follow these superstitions would be, anti-Catholic. However, if I don't, I
Yes.
get superstitious because I'm not. So, there's still salt going over the left shoulder to hit the
Yes.
devil in the eye, Sinistra. And then the other day, I caught myself putting new shoes on the bed, and I said, "Oh my gosh, took those right off." Yeah, unfortunately, we still do some of those
Yes, there
superstitions.
you go. They're my super. They're probably the same things that I could tell you.
You
I
knock
know.
people without even realizing it, right? And
Yes. And you're really scared if you grew up with that shoe thing,
oh my
I can just I still know if I by mistake put, a new pair of shoes on the bed, it's like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna have a terrible day. You get so scared. My gosh, am I gonna have such bad luck? So so
and the itchy palms. Tell me, the one I know one hand, if you have itchy palms, one hand is means you're giving money, the other hand means you're receiving money. We all know it means you have dry hands, but
right.
I can't remember which is which. Is the left
I
palm
don't
the
even, I know the itchy palm thing is about you're supposed to be getting money. I'm not sure though which hand it's supposed to
okay,
be.
yeah, so we'll just take it all as a
We'll
guess.
just take it, yeah, the itchy palm thing.
Do have to laugh at the superstitions though, but
Oh,
yeah, they do. I still have pork. I don't know why. My mother always said pork on New Year's Day and Christmas Eve. I
uh,
don't really do seven fish, but it has to be an odd number, so I make
oh
sure.
yes.
And
Well,
and sometimes it was like my son loves to cook, and he'll bring a fish dish. And one time he said he was bringing two things, so I said, all right, then I need to make three or five other fish. He
right.
came with one, and there I am. Oh God, open up a can of sardines or some tuna or something. Put it out. Just put it out with crackers.
Just
Got to have an
have
odd
it.
number.
Yes, yes. Well, in Italy, they really don't call it the Feast of the Seven Fishes. It's just called Vigilia,
Oh,
and they
yeah.
have only seafood, but it's just all seafood dishes on Christmas Eve. That's it. And then Christmas Day, it's usually a big lasagna with
Mm.
anything and everything you can imagine. But yeah, they don't call it like seven. It's here. I guess they started the tradition of, counting the seven. But I think you're correct with the odd numbers. I notice a lot of people do that with the odd number,
Isn't that funny?
odd number seafood dishes. So that's definitely a tradition. So Lorraine, I always ask all my guests this question: what does food mean to you?
Wow. Food to me is camaraderie, it's family, it's warmth. It's just happy. It's all good stuff.
Thank you. And yes,
We talk about the healthiness.
yes, being Italian, yes, that all, definitely makes sense. There's such a connection there. Do you have anything else you want to share with us? Like, why don't you tell everybody where they can find you and your website and all of that?
Well, LorraineRanalli.com. Gravy Wars is still out and about. It's in a few specialty shops in and around the Philadelphia area, Toludo's, Antonella's, Pagano's. Basically, if the shop has a vowel at the end of its name, they might have my book. But and of course, it's on Amazon. And I haven't done as many appearances about with Gravy Wars. More recently, I've been doing a lot of public speaking in regards to marketing and business, which
Yes.
that's my bread and butter, if you will. But you see, it's always about the food. But I got to tell you, Maria, I don't know if we follow each other on Facebook, and I haven't put anything out about this in a while, but I
Yes.
had written a play, a stage show, really,
Yeah,
that
I wanted to ask you about that. I forgot. I did want to ask you about that because I noticed when I went on your website today, I'm like, wow, this looks really interesting. Why don't you tell us about that? Yes.
La Familia started as a series of vignettes that I wrote as soon as Gravy Wars was released in 2009. I started writing these vignettes, and I'm a pipe dreamer, and I thought this would be funny. I could maybe pitch it one day as a pilot for a sitcom.
Hmm.
And then I turned it into a promotion for the book. And there was a local theater. I'm in Delaware County outside of
Mhm.
Philadelphia, and there was
Uh-huh.
a small local community theater that I knew a few of the people involved. And I said, hey, what do you think about running one of these vignettes? Well, they have the short play festival. So
Uh-huh.
in 2009, that summer, my first was Ajita.
Uh,
They ran Ajita as part of the short play festival, and it's basically slapstick humor. It's just really silly, old-fashioned humor based on a fictional Italian family, the Scamorzas, which they call themselves the Scamats. And
yes. Uh,
so and then after that, I wrote, I had a few other vignettes. They ran another one a few years after that, and then a few years after, I said, you know what, I want to put these together as a stage show, and
mhm,
it'll just be, individual acts. And I put together this trilogy, a three-act
mhm.
play, if you will, based on the family, but none of the acts followed each other. They were just
Right.
moments in time. And
Yes.
I got to tell you, well, the actors brought it to life better than I could ever have imagined. And this thing was a hoot and a holler. And we
Oh,
packed this
wow.
little playhouse. We
Uh,
overpacked it, sold out. And I have been trying since to pitch this play. And
oh,
you talk about superstitions. Oh my goodness, real quick. It's been one thing after another. And I read a lot of business books, and I read about people who, just never gave up
uh-huh.
they persevered, persevered, persevered. But I mean, the one after it ran in 2018 as a stage show, La Familia, I said, this is great. We're going to take this on the road. And I was pitching and pitching and pitching. Well, these theaters are really hard to break into.
Oh, wow.
Professional ones, you need
Yes.
representation. And
Yes.
I'm like, oh my God, that's not my bag. I just wrote the thing. I'm not a producer. I'm not a
Right.
director. Well,
Hmm.
the actors said, why don't we just do this ourselves? And I was a little hesitant. I was more than a little hesitant. And
Uh-huh.
then I decided, okay, we'll try to do this. Somebody had approached me about doing it in a restaurant and
Uh-huh.
making it like a
Oh,
dinner
yeah.
theater
Kind
show.
of like those murder mysteries, but not a murder
Well, yeah,
mystery.
yeah, it's
Like that
all
type of
slapstick
thing.
humor. Well,
Right.
it perfectly lends itself to a dinner theater
Mhm.
type of show.
Right.
And so we had that set up, and we had another hall set up for later in 2018.
Uh-huh.
And two of the four leads dropped out. And I
Oh,
said, "Oh my gosh, here I go. I'm trying to put together a show. I am not a producer. I am not a director, and
uh-huh.
I am scraping the barrel looking for actors.
Uh-huh.
I'm not in that world, so I don't know it.
Yes.
So we found a couple of replacements, not quite as, as up to par, I should say.
Mhm.
We started rehearsing, and then our other lead lost her son. And I said,
Oh my gosh.
this is off. I know you want to talk about, so I said, for some reason, this isn't
Yes.
supposed to happen. I canceled it. Tickets were already being sold.
Oh,
And I felt
wow.
so bad because the restaurant was really looking forward to it. It was a unique
Oh,
promotion.
wow.
And so we had to just, refund all money and just get out of it.
Oh, wow.
And then
Maybe
I
it just wasn't the time.
It
And so
was, that's what I thought. And then something
maybe,
else happened. A
yes,
year later, I tried again, and the
yes,
small theater in South Jersey
yes.
wanted to run it, and then that went kaputs.
Oh,
Then a professional, let's see, what is this? Last January, it's not even a year ago, a professional theater reached out to me,
uh-huh,
and they were interested. He had seen my book, and he said, "Boy, this would be funny, a
uh-huh,
fun play." And I said, "It is a play. I already have it, La
uh-huh,
Familia." So we spoke, and he said, I'm going to tell you what, I'm going to read this in the spring.
uh-huh,
And if he said, I'm pretty sure already I'm going to like it. And if there's not too much work that needs to be done, and we can
uh-huh.
do this, I'm going to bring you in. We're going to bring actors in, and we're going to do a roundtable reading. And this is how they do it. He said, but I already have to
Right.
tell you, my 2021 season is booked. This would go 21, 22. I said,
Uh-huh.
fabulous. Let's do it. I'll
Yeah.
have to promote it, blah, blah, blah. And then what happened? COVID hits. And when I reached back out to him in the spring, he
Uh,
said, Lorraine, I all I'm trying to do now is keep my doors open,
oh,
keep from
wow.
losing my property because
Oh,
I
gosh.
everything in the theater world shut down, and
Yes,
everything that
yes,
supports the theater world shut down. So that's
yes,
where
yes.
we are right now. But
Oh,
I got to tell you, I have to believe that if I persist, this will
yes.
get off the ground, because if I
Oh,
give up, I
yes.
but isn't
I
that
would
weird?
believe it would because there's a lot of you had a lot of positive things, you had negative things, but there was a lot of positivity throughout what you told me, with people loving the show, and
Yes.
things sold out and this, that, and the other. So you had some positivity there. So, and that other guy was going to do it in the
Hmm.
theater. It's just that COVID hit. So, it's that, definitely, I mean, you don't need me to tell you, but yes, you definitely have to run through with it. But, wait till this whole thing dies down, hopefully in 21, and you'll be able to. But I know, I told you when we were talking earlier that I have a few like TV projects that
Hmm.
had to just go on hold now, and I'm sort of wait everything out too. So, but yeah, that definitely sounds like it's, you just have to wait it out and just keep pursuing and don't give up. It sounds like you'll be able to, definitely get it done. You
And
had so
then
much
once it's
interest.
on, it's as big as Jersey Boys, then
Yes, yes.
then I'll have a book to write about the process of
To
this. I
the
am making
process
notes
of
because
doing exactly,
this has
exactly.
basically been more than 10 years I've been, on and off working on this, but really the last 3 or 4 very heavily, trying to push this theater project, this I want to say stage show, because it's just
Yes,
a little different. It's not a typical play, but
right.
it's fun. So thank you for the opportunity to put it out there because I feel like the more I do that, the more, I have an opportunity to maybe reach somebody who has an idea or, make
Yes.
a great introduction or who knows what.
Yes, and I'm glad that you mentioned the 10-year process, because I always have people asking me, they think you just put a book together, you have an idea, you put it together, and it's like out there in a couple of months. And it's the same thing. Like I have a book that hopefully it'll be released in 21, but it's been about 5 or 6 years I've been trying
Yeah,
to get it together, and my other books all took me at least 3, 4, or 5. They all take time, so I can believe, the 10 years is definitely something that for the getting this play out there, because now you not only wrote it, but you're trying to actually get it produced. So, but
exactly.
if you know what, Lorraine, if you look in the like stories of different, like really famous films like Rocky, Rocky himself.
Oh, that his
You know
story
how
is
long it took them
fabulous.
to get,
Yes.
my family members used to tell me they would see Sylvester Stallone filming little segments. This is before anybody even knew about the movie, down
Wow.
on Ninth Street there in the Italian market, before, people even knew about it. I think before he even really sold the project. So it does take time, but it's probably going to be well worth it once you get that done.
Yes, I
So
think
yeah,
so. Well,
much
thank you.
success on that. Thank you so much, and I'm sure we'll have you back again. And much success with all that again, Lorraine. And I will definitely, this segment will be up shortly, so I will be sending you the link also. And yeah, hopefully you can share it with your followers also.
Oh, I certainly will. I appreciate it, Maria, and all the best to you with your 2021 ventures. This is the
You
time that we just have to look at our 2020 vision for the next 5 and then the next 10 years and put it all together,
exactly,
make it
definitely
happen, right?
get it going and make it happen. You too. Yes, definitely. Thank you so much. Thanks, Lorraine. Take care.
Shandon, take care.
Okay. Thanks for joining us and listening to the Maria Liberati Show. If you want to show off your pasta style, take a picture of your homemade pasta. Hashtag the Maria Liberati Show, post on social media. We'll be gathering pictures and posting on my website and giving away copies of my books for those that we select. We'll be gathering pictures and posting them. Thanks to my producer, Britton Roselle, and this week's guest, Lorraine Ranalli of the Gravy Wars, and my production intern, Alexandra Krenz. Go to my website, marialiberati.com, to keep up with my blog and the show and my book series, The Basic Art of Italian Cooking. Don't forget to post your answer to the question, what does food mean to you, in a recorded soundbite of 60 seconds or less, or a social media post of 50 words or less. Post with the hashtag The Maria Liberati Show on social media. If your answers are selected for an upcoming podcast segment, you'll receive an autographed copy of my book, The Basic Art of Italian Cooking. I'd love to hear from my listeners and have you be part of my show. And don't forget to watch for my hashtag Friday favorites on Facebook on Fridays at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. That's Facebook Live, where I do some short cooking segments of recipes from my podcast segments. Stay tuned because we'll be doing giveaways of delicious products I know you'll love on my Facebook Live. If you have any questions or ideas from upcoming segments, email me directly at maria@marialiberati.com. My Facebook Live page is at Chef Maria Liberati. My Twitter page is at Maria Liberati with a capital M. And Instagram is Maria Liberati. Peace, love, and pasta. Until next time.